With the release of Raid 3 coming out in about 3 weeks' time, this is the perfect opportunity for everybody to start theory crafting and discussing different bits of information they might be able to share about Raid 3, and I am obviously no exception to the rule. I'm going to be theory crafting a little bit in this video and explaining to you guys some information that I'm aware of the raid, some theories I have about the raid, and some information that I think will be very beneficial for people going forward looking to tackle this raid on release. I'm just going to train agility in the background while we talk about this raid. We'll go through the news posts and discuss what I think about each individual boss and the invocations and so on. Starting off, it's probably worth noting that I missed out on the opportunity to go to the playtest for this raid. There was a communication and scheduling conflict between me and the old school team living in Australia. It's not the easiest to line up stuff with the UK to visit them in person, so it's a blessing and a curse, really. I didn't get to try out the raid, but it also means I'm allowed to talk about it freely and come up with my own theories. I have had discussions with, a few different individuals who will remain nameless that have given me some confidence in my theories, and I've also just thought a lot about what's coming up, and I've got a pretty decent team that I'm confident in, ready to go ahead and stream this Raid 3's release on my channel right here on YouTube, where I am streaming 5 days a week. Now, Raid 3, Tombs of Amascut, is going to be the biggest release in the history of raids with old school RuneScape, as opposed to Chambers of Xeric and Theatre of Blood. There are two key factors involved with the release of this raid, which really is going to help the old school community in general. One, there is an entry mode on release, which was a huge setback for Theatre of Blood. It created a paywall and a toxic environment around Theatre of Blood, which made it difficult for new people to learn the raid. You're not going to have that problem with Raid 3, and if you do, you come see me in my Discord community at discord.gg/BigDickEnergy, and we'll sort you out. The other huge advantage that the community of RuneScape has with the release of Raid 3 is you have me as a content creator putting out big dick content and streaming 5 days a week, which might sound like a joke, but I'm not fucking kidding. No one teaches content better than me in this fucking game, and that's been proven many times. Raid 3 will be no different, and you guys will have a huge advantage if you want to get your feet wet and start learning some PvM and raid content with Tombs of Amascut. This is the perfect opportunity to get your fucking foot in the door. Now, without wasting any more of your time, we're going to get into the news post about Tombs of Amascut. Starting with the requirements is very simple, you already know. The quest beneath Cursed Sands, very easy, 40-minute quest with a guide. Mid-level accounts can do it, get it done. It takes no fucking time at all. And yeah, that's all you need to start the raid. You can get there with a Pharaoh Scepter or a Fairy Ring next to it, which is like AKP or some shit. But what we're really here for is to discuss the theory about the bosses in the raid. I don't have a whole lot of information on the bosses themselves. My information that I've been fed is more lenient towards the invocations. But I have sat here and thought about what I feel like we're going to be dealing with when it comes to the bosses, starting with your boy Akka. Now, my theory with this boss is you're going to want a designated tank, which will be me for my team for my release stream. The tank will kite Akka and attack him from the front. You might want a high accuracy weapon, but I think for the most part, you're going to want to have something like Full Justy, Crystal Shield, Elysian, and then maybe a Rapier or something on the side to be able to do a bit of damage. And the rest of the team is going to want to attack him from behind because he's got this big shield in the front. I feel like the damage is going to be split and reduced if it's coming from the front, or his defense will be much higher from the front as opposed to attacking him from behind. It's a kiting theory which is used in a lot of MMO games, and I feel like this is something they're going to try to bring to the raid for Akka. I have pitched this theory to a few people. Some people who know how this boss works were a little bit silent, and not that that actually tells you anything, but it made me feel like I might be onto something here. I think that's a pretty good way to tackle the first boss at least, and it might be something to consider having a tank role, like as much melee defense as you can, but it might be good to just have a designated tank to just load up the fucking defense gear and have this cunt come at you like a fucking bat out of hell. He will also be using poison by the looks of it, so you might want to have a Serp Helm. Serp Helms are, in my opinion, the best helmet in the game because of just how diverse the fucking item is. It's going to be pretty useful in this raid for sure, especially if you're a tank. Moving on to Bubba. Now, I believe with Bubba or Kefri, one of the two, there is going to be a lot of NPCs or mobs in those rooms. Bubba it's talking about her family or some shit, and I believe you're going to be taking a lot of range damage in this room. There's going to be maybe mage damage as well, but for the most part, I think you're going to have a lot of shit thrown at you, quite literally at that point. You might be getting diseased. It might be handy to have a Sanfu Serum on you, just in case, if there is a disease mechanic in this raid. And I feel like Bubba is going to be the first room where people are going to start having some real fucking trouble. I think as long as you have a tank and Akka room, you should be pretty sweet. But Bubba might be the first roadblock when it comes to the raid for most parties. I think there's going to be a lot of high pace, but low hitting damage, 2-3 tick attacks, and you're going to be getting hit by a lot of different mobs on the outside of the room. This is just a theory, again. But I feel like with Bubba, one of the rooms at least, there will be a lot of mobs, and I will explain why I feel that when it comes to the reward section, because I think there's There's an item that's in the reward section which makes it pretty obvious that killing mobs, especially as a tank, is going to be very useful. Again, you're probably going to want a tank for each and every one of these rooms. I'm not sure if there's going to be a way to like designate aggro as such, as opposed to maybe something the way Theatre of Blood works, where the person on top of the list or the party leader will be prioritized as aggro from people like the Maiden. So that's definitely something to consider here. But Bubba, I'm going to assume you can't walk under. I'm going to assume it's going to do a lot of damage, and it's going to have a lot of damage on the outside, attacking either the tank or everyone else in the room. And disease might be something to consider in this room. Moving on to Kefri. Now, given it's a scarab, which is like, to me, it looks like a fucking cow fight. I think they might be the same thing. I don't actually know. You're going to want the Keras Partisan in here, 100%. You're going to want it, and you're going to want either one of those gems as soon as you can. I think the Keras Partisan is a must-have weapon, of course. That was the idea of the quest. Always have that weapon on you. You might need it, and honestly, with the gems on them, once you have a gem on them, you're going to want them in each one of these rooms. But the Kefri could be similar to the Bubba theory, where there's going to be a bunch of shit in that room. You might be looking at a vestibular type of feel to the room, not with the portal, but with like shit growing over time. The longer in your room, the longer you're in the room, sorry, the more shit's going to grow. And eventually you'll be fighting more than just one mob. This might be a bit of a room you kind of want to speed run through and defeat the boss and DPS it down as quick as you can. This is just a theory again. It's just, she's nothing more than a mindless thrower, which tells me she's going to do nothing but fucking damage. She's going to do nothing but come at you and fucking hit you. And if it's anything like the Cowfight Queen, it's likely she's going to be ignoring your defense. You pray one thing and you get fucked by the other. That's going to be a theory. So that's where I'm sitting with Kefri. It's likely that you're going to be taking damage regardless, and you're just going to be able to pray against one thing and get fucked by the other. So likely in that situation, you're going to want to pray mage, take the range damage, but who knows? An Elysian and a, what's it called? Fucking Justicia set or the Din's Bulwark might become very handy in this room. And then finally, we've got Zebak. And obviously everyone's thinking, oh, it's just like Mutadars because it's a crocodile. I fucking doubt it. Here's my theory. I reckon every time Zebak damages you, it's going to heal. If you get chomped for a 3, if you get chomped for a 10, if you get chomped for a 30 or a 60, it's going to heal every time. I don't know how much, but I mean, it's a lifetime supply of food in return for the service of Zebak. It's all about eating food and just surviving by eating food. That's what's fucking written there. And it makes me feel like as you take damage from Zebak, she's going to heal for the damage or a portion of the damage or even a multiple of the damage that you are affected or that you're hit by. And if that's the case, that's pretty good. And that's also going to create a challenge. That might mean doing range damage and mage damage might be the way to go here. You might need to strictly melee or have someone in melee range so that Zebak doesn't leave the water. I don't really know too much else that I could theorize with that room, but my theory in general is that as you take damage in this room, she will either heal and or get stronger. So that's my theory for the 4 rooms. Obviously, we have the final room as well, which is 2 bosses that you have to fight simultaneously, and I don't have a fucking clue how that's going to work. Just a lot of team and time management and good communication skills. Now, moving on to the Invocation System. This is my bread and butter. I love this idea. I think this is great, and this is what I feel. I'm going to just share my thoughts on what I'm 90% sure that I know. What I feel like is going to be the indicator for each of these skulls or whatever. And what I'm going to try, I guess, do, I haven't discussed it with my team yet, but what I feel like I'm going to do. Obviously, you've got different levels here, which are explained in the post. So you've got entry mode at the first 2 stages. Basically, like, I mean, is it entry mode? 0 to 149 is entry mode. So the first one is entry mode. Anything up until it goes blue is entry mode. If it's blue, it's, sorry, my apologies. If it's blue, it's entry mode. If it's 150 to 300, it's normal mode. And then 300 onwards is expert mode. And the harder it gets, the more difficult the raid gets. I apologize. I'm an autist. I just had a fucking brain fart. Now, obviously, each invocation adds more difficulty based on what you want to do. You've obviously got these 4 invocations at the start, which are to do with lives and wipe mechanics. The first one, I would assume, is being you can just fucking respawn like it's Chambers of Xeric and keep sending it, which is beautiful. You go for it. The more deaths might affect the way that your reward is, or maybe just with that completely, it can't be considered expert and barely considered normal if that's the case. As you move on, I'm going to assume the next goal is something about maybe you can wipe 3 times as a team. You can only wipe once as a team, like Theatre of Blood. So to be like Chambers of Xeric, Story Mode Tob, Normal Tob, and Hard Mode Tob. And then this mechanic here, the last one, I'm 99% sure that this invocation is literally a 1 death, 1 life invocation. Meaning if you die in the first room against Aka or the third room against Kefri. Doesn't matter. If you die in the raid, you die for the entire raid. You don't come back. If you die in the first room, you're gone for good. And that is to increase the difficulty, obviously, to the absolute maximum. If you've got a 4-man team and someone dies in the first room, you've got a 3-man team for the rest of the raid. I'm 99% sure that is that invocation there. And that is also going to be pretty fucked for people. But also, obviously, the way you're going to want to farm some fucking purples. As for the clocks, I'm going to assume these are speed times. But I don't think it's going to be like a speed run to like hard mode TOB, for example, or Chambers of Deck, where if you complete a certain time, you're going to get extra rewards. I think it's literally going to be, if you don't reach a certain, like, say, for example, you're given 10 minutes to kill Akka. And if you take more than 10 minutes, that's the end of the raid. Like, you can't move on to the next room. It's like the Hallowed Sepulchre, if you will. You know, the raid cuts off, you fucking leave with whatever. You've done one room, you get one room worth of loot. You no purples unless you get to the end. And this sets a timer basically for each room. So you are speed running the rooms, and you have to finish them as quickly as possible. Otherwise, you get locked out of the raid. I don't know if that's going to include time between rooms, because between each boss room, there are going to be like puzzles and like different, like instead of like having scavs and cocks, you're going to have like different traps and shit to avoid, which might damage you, might lower your stats, might reduce your run, or just might fuck you in general on the way there. So that's just something to consider. This could be just like a time-based thing for more rewards if you are quick enough, but it might also cut off the raid if you're too slow. These 3 invocations are, I believe, going to be to do with traps and to do with the difficulty of the like passageways or rooms between the boss rooms. So whether that means there's going to be any mobs in those rooms at all, I don't know, but traps, darts coming at you that might lower your run energy, might poison you, disease you, for example. The higher difficulty, the more traps and the more difficult and the more random the traps might be. I would love it, and I hope that the traps can be completely fucking random. Like, there is no way to predict exactly what hallway is going to be it. There's no set amount. It's a random layout every time, and it's not possible to predict. That way, it removes the ability to cheese the speed run, and it obviously adds an element of RNG, but also an element of skill and pressure to be able to speedrun rooms, because there's absolutely no way to be able to tell what's going on. That's my theory. That's what I'd like to see. And then you got the last invocations here. I believe these look like they might be supply chest. Wait, no. Hold on. This might be supply chest? I'm not sure. Maybe this is just enable or disable supply chest between rooms, like a Theater of Blood, I would say. And then I'm not sure what these ones would be then. I just realized these are different. This might be cancelling a supply chest between certain rooms. Only one, like, you know, enable supply chest, 5 chests, 2 chests, 1 chest. No chest at all, 1 chest, 4 chests. I don't know. Maybe it could just be a restriction on how many supplies you can stock up on between rooms, because you're probably going to need to have that considered. And obviously you can scroll down, there's going to be even more invocations, but this is just basically what we can see here for this first part of the tab. And let's just say there's going to be at least 3 and a half times more invocations. Who fucking knows what else there's going to be, but just based on what we can see here, that's the theory I'm giving out there for the party of Goblin 9. Given the reward chart right here, as you can see, let's fucking zoom in on that boy. You've got, obviously, your jewels, your what's that, the light bearer, that's the fuck is that? That's the fang, hey? Is that the fang? Must be the fang. That's the ward, that's the staff, your Missouri armor, the pet, which looks like just like a pharaoh's head at the moment. And then you've got this thread, which I'm assuming is going to be used to combine the Missouri armor together. You can only get the gems in any raid, which I think is fair. The gems seem like a pretty crucial and problematic part, considering they're untradeable, and also they are just going to be like important for the future of the raid. And then you can get uniques with the reward potential this low, but it's I'm assuming we're talking like 1 in 32,000 plus to get a unique. It's not going to be something that's hugely dramatic to really fuck over the economy. But that's my thoughts on the, I guess, the invocations, which we'll move down now to the rewards. Now, you should already know about all the rewards. There's only one part I really want to talk about, which is the gems, and that is why I was talking earlier about having different mobs in each room. Again, it might be to do with mobs between each boss room, but if I feel like that Bubba or the fucking cowfight cunt might have mobs spawning in their room constantly because of the Jewel of the Sun, which if you deal a killing blow to a creature, within the raid with the Keras Partisan sporting the jewel, the player will lose 5 prayer points but gain 12 hit points and can overheal up to 20%. I think that sounds like bullshit if it's just a boss, because what the fuck is 12 HP going to do for you if you just killed a boss and cleared a room? So I think it's going to be pretty useful for maybe to have 2 tanks or someone who's playing a support tank role, where the tank can fuck off for a second and go heal to save on supplies by just clearing up a bunch of mods real quick. I'm assuming in the cow fight room because it is the Keras. And then as a result, you can come back to tanking if you're quick enough. Prayer is going to be a bit more important at that point because obviously you can overheal and get your HP back. That's a theory that really just stuck out to me at that point. And the spec also just, it costs you 50 prayer points, but it gives you full heal, 20% over as well. And it cures all poison and restores your drained stats fully and run energy. So you're going to have your stats drained. I don't know if disease is going to be a thing in here. It'd be cool to see disease, to have that implemented more into the game rather than just fucking near Castle Wars. And I guess you could say the Nightmare if you really want to be an asshole about it. And then you got the Eye of the Corruptor, which is more of a, I guess, support role again. It sounds like this is perfect for people with Dragon Claws and people with the Blowpipe and people who just want to put out a lot of damage really quickly. Crystal Halberd and the Dragon Dagger. Basically, one cunt's going to spec the boss with this gem here, reducing, increasing the amount of damage they take by 25%, and then your team just comes in and dumps their fucking claws, and that cunt is going to get blasted off the map pretty quickly, which I think is going to be really handy in the room with this cunt here. I feel like one of these rooms, especially this one because it's the Keras Partisan, you're going to want to clear that room pretty fucking quickly. So that's my theory about, I guess, the theory coming forward with the Tombs of Amascut. The facts are very simple. I'm going to be here as a content creator for this raid release, so you guys are going to have an easy time learning the raid, because if no content creators out there really being useful or they're recommending you to services that charge you fucking 3 mil for a raid, get fucked by a horse. You come by here and you can learn it for free. You just have to not be a piece of shit. You can be as garbage as you want at the game. You just want to be able to learn. The other facts, which I'm 99% sure and I'm confident in saying, is that this invocation right here is 1 death per raid per person invocation. That's about as far as the facts go, if I'm completely fucking honest with you. And the rest of it is all theory crafting. But let me know what you think. If you think my theories are on board, if you think they're fucking ridiculous, if you have a counter theory, leave a like down below if you did enjoy the video and comment what you think about what I've said. And most importantly, come to the fucking live streams and discuss what your theories are with me as well. I'd love to hear what you think over the next 3 weeks. I'm going to be streaming right here on YouTube 5 days a week. I do this full time, so I'm not fucking going anywhere. Don't be a shit cunt, guys. And most importantly, look after yourselves. Say hi to your mother for me. And fuck off. This is the easiest room in the raid. It's quite simple. You got a big boy. Look at him. God damn. Fuck me. Look at that boy. It's huge.